I stumbled into other stuff. I started stumbling into better stuff like Hawaiian, Acapulco Gold. It was actually the Acapulco Gold from Mexico, the good stuff. And then I got some Maui Wowie was the first green bud I ever had, and I was probably 13, maybe 14 years old. So
okay.
That's putting us back in age or 2 or 3 or 4.
If you load it up big, you better clear the rest. The solvent list takes away all my stress. Life's been feeling like kind of a mess. I'll never let a hater make me think less, because everything before this was just a test. Get it?
Bagsy Chronicles.
I'm riding, all the homies with me. Yeah, we've been getting hella faded. Just like our eyes, we be staying low-key. Vibing now, always staying medicated. I'm riding, all the homies with me. Yeah, we've been getting hella faded. Just like our eyes, we be staying low-key. Vibing now, always staying medicated. I'm about to go up in a blaze. I don't give a fuck unless I'm
Oh
getting
boy.
paid.
Hello everyone. It is your happy and erstwhile host, Uncle Dig. Welcome back to the Bagseed Chronicles. It has been too long, but sometimes life calls and we must answer. But I'm back with you for now, after a lovely visit from a longtime friend. I am excited for this summer. It's going to be a killer year for growing weed. I would like to thank the listeners for taking their time out of their day to listen to my little podcast and to share my little pot-soaked life journey. There is one city and country that I consistently get downloads from every episode for at least a year, and that is Frankfurt, Germany. Thank you so much, my Frankfurt listeners, for truly making me a citizen of the world and the Bagseed Chronicles, a truly global podcast. Whoever you are, if you guys share with a few like-minded friends, you might beat out the next biggest city, Oklahoma City. Wouldn't that be cool? Y'all are number 3 in the charts right now, Frankfurt. Awesome. Thanks to all the Bagseed Chronicles listeners across the globe, from Portland, Oregon to the Netherlands. Aren't stats cool, guys? I have a wonderful, loosey-goosey, fun interview with Rollin' Smokes for you today. You should be very excited. But first, I'll bet you're wondering what is going on with my garden. Uncle Dig's garden update. Hello! It is the 18th of June, 2023, and I am in Gardening Zone 8B, and this is Uncle Dig with your garden update. I currently only have 3 plants indoors right now, 2 Fire of Maroof clones, and a Forbidden Fruit Bagseed clone. They are in week 2 of flower and looking good. I am hoping they are done with the stretch soon, and I will defoliate them all near the beginning of week 3 or just before. They will get fertilized in week 3, and then not again. Not again. All plants in the photo period outdoor garden are in their final containers. The 2 Fire of Maroof have been skirted and are in their first trellis, which is flexible posts and garden twine. Although these girls may have me driving T-posts again this year because they are big. The Jaeger bag seed is skirted, but not trellised yet. Same with the Forbidden Fruit bag seed. They are about a foot shorter than the Fire Maroof seedlings, who are peeking up above my eyeballs as we speak in their 20-gallon containers, and I am about 6 feet tall. The Amnesia Haze plant is doing well, and so are the Super Skunk and the 2 CBD Dutch Treats. All of these plants are too small to train right now, but have entered a solid vegetative growth phase. They are behind the others as they are feminized, and I started them later to plug the holes in my 8-plant garden. I also have started the autoflower garden. I've only started 1 seed so far in the autoflower garden, and that is the Girl Scout cookie from 420 Fast Buds. I also have plans to grow several more varieties. I'll keep you posted. Well, that's it for the garden update. I hope everyone makes it through this cold snap we've got coming through in Southern Oregon. Let's overgrow the world. All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to the Bagseed Chronicle, a frequent flyer on the top 5 of my download statistics. Rollin' Smokes, a local Southern Oregon grower and mainstay of the Bag Seed Chronicles.
Yes. Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome back. How you doing today?
I am doing excellent. Today is a good day. The sun is out. It isn't too hot. Looks like it's going to be a great year to grow.
Oh, my Lord. It's looking, last year was a good year, and this year is looking even better.
Yes, it is.
I know some people are talking a lot in the news about the hop latent viroid, though.
Yeah.
Are you worried about that this year or not?
No,
not too much?
not at all. I think the weather, then they're worried that because of the coolness that is happening. I believe in our temperatures right now, especially in the high hills. Like right now, areas still have 5 foot of snow that would usually be dry. So we're getting some cool breezes off the mountain at night that, might be part of the statistics that they're looking at.
Okay, interesting. I've been seeing that a lot in the news recently, and it's been causing a concern. Some of my gromies, one of the other people who's been on the podcast before, Larry, was talking to me the other day, Larry a day, and he was talking to me, and he was really concerned with it, and he thinks it's going to wipe out half the industry this year.
I don't know about that. We'll see.
Well, there's also a lot of pressure on the industry right now. Apparently, people haven't been paying their taxes.
Oh yeah, there's quite a bit in that. But on the flip side of that, there's a lot of taxes being paid because they have that $300 million roughly they get a year from taxes. So you got to figure the guys that aren't paying taxes are probably hiding, trying to use that money.
Right.
I'm sure of it.
Well, and that's kind of the thing. They're going to make it your license dependent on your tax bill being paid this year, I think, and so I think that's causing some overdue bills to be due immediately in the industry.
Well, it's funny because, there was no real regulation when I started in the medical of delivering from Southern Oregon to Portland. And in our great means of doing that, some of the people in Oregon had this meaning of not wanting to pay us sometimes. And our only thing was, how are we going to get our money? Because there was no real... they could just say, yeah, I'm not going to pay you. There was no record or anything there is like there is now in rec. So, but being a medical, you had to keep up standards. So if we reported to OHA that they weren't keeping standards and not paying us, they could lose their license.
Oh, right.
And rec, they've never done anything like that. Rec, they've never set any establishment of saying if you don't pay your taxes, you're going to lose your license.
Oh, it's kind of like a lot of businesses, just in general. They incorporate a certain level of like fine paying and into their risk management, and they just account for like doing a certain level of scummy business. There's a lot of contractors out there that do not pay their bills.
Well, there's another thing that's out there that people don't realize. There's no banking for any of this money that Oregon's collecting on taxes. So when you don't have a banking, which they should pass, because if they had some kind of banking here in Oregon, they could track those taxes that aren't being paid. But the problem here lies is for all these recreational people can't just write a check. They have to pay their taxes in cash. So tax time, you should see how many state police are around the Capitol when they're paying their state taxes. It's an amazing sight to see. It's like I have a couple friends that go up with a couple other friends because they're carrying mass amounts of cash.
Just swarm with state police?
Yeah, well, there's a few state police up there. You won't see them. They're mainly undercover because they want to look inconspicuous. But they all know how much cash. You got to remember, $300 million came in.
Right, okay, all at once.
Yeah, not all at once, but, trickled in from, taxes due. So it's like... Think about that. In 4 months, the first 4 months of the year, $300 million go through Salem.
And for folks in other states that aren't Oregon who are listening to this, and then they say $300 million, that's in the scheme of things, that's not very much. That's a larger portion of Oregon's budget than a lot of other states. We only have about 4.2 million people in Oregon. For reference, the large metro area I'm from, Houston, has about 3.8 million people, depending on how you cut it, maybe 4.8. And that's people that are there legally that they're tracking. So remember, when you're talking about population, you always have to add, like 8%?
Yes. Well, and it's funny. I'm glad you gave that reference because people don't know how small Oregon really is in population. Yeah, and some of the, I don't know if I can talk about it, but I know one of the big chopping block people now in this paying the taxes is Mota.
Oh, yeah. Let's
been-
talk about Mota. Their lawyers are busy.
Yes. Yes, I know Aaron.
Oh, you know.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've dealt with him in the medical industry. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he was up front. He paid his bills with us. I mean, he's a good businessman. He's a business model that showed Oregon that you could have a lot of dispensaries if you wanted. I mean, his model was like, here we are, 7-Eleven. We're going to be on every corner. And he is. He's in just about every city. And I don't know if he still is, but I know he has a few.
But you've been familiar with all the controversy, right?
Oh, yes. Him and it sounds right.
Oh, yeah, you're like, I'm not denying that he did any of that.
I mean, it sounds. I mean, it's business. To them, it's all business, and people are going, "Yeah, that's shady business." Well, if you're a smart businessman and you can get a politician in your pocket, kind of, I think that isn't a bad thing. I mean, if you're trying to stay out of trouble, that isn't a bad thing, you know. But
Rolling Smokes on the Bagseed Chronicles. Hey guys, mob up. Just mob right up. Do it.
I mean, come on, it isn't a bad thing. But in reality, we all know it is. But
Yeah.
I mean, it was flowing until it didn't. And that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. It flew for a little bit because how long she been in that position?
Right.
You know? So it's been going on a little while. And I'm glad someone caught
Did you
up to
hear
it.
what they were paying her to consult?
Probably a good penny.
$10,000 a month.
Yeah, that sounds reasonable.
It's so crazy. It's so much money for nothing.
Well, I can say it's something because
Right.
the guy that owns LaMotta also, he has he owns a hotel in Half Moon Bay, California.
Half Moon Bay is beautiful, but I can't afford to stay there.
Exactly. So this hotel makes lots of money, and he has lots of money there. I mean, it's like he's just a big businessman, and he came in here and he did something, you know, that probably all big businessmen do, you know,
Oh, yeah.
the wrong thing. But all he's got to do is pay his taxes, and he's golden in Oregon again.
Yeah. I think there's some other stuff that might be brewing for them. I'm not going to get into the gossip, but there was I don't remember if it was Oregon Live or if it was an Oregonian article about that, and they did like a multiple, like hard spread investigative journal, multiple part article on them, and someone dug into them hard, and they just didn't do a great job of being discreet.
I'm not going to speak any more to that because
No.
I know more that's behind the scene
Yeah.
with the people that they're talking about. And yeah, let's just leave it right there.
Okay. Moving on from the LaMotta controversy and the whole Secretary of State of Oregon corruption scandal, we're seeing the first real political backlash against cannabis legalization in Oklahoma. Have you seen there's new regulations in Oklahoma that are a little bit more restrictive, not too much. But the reason that those first restrictions got passed is they tried to pass rec in Oklahoma, but it didn't pass. Did you hear about that?
Oh, they didn't go medical then, rec?
No, they said we want our walled garden, the little spoiled boys, and and now the state's like, oh, y'all don't really want weed, so they're going to start restricting medical, and it's going to go away, guys. You can't step back, you can only step forward. The only way out is through the breach, young lad. You have to go all the way. Yep. If you stop, the forces of regression and repression will just be like, oh, what a wonderful opportunity to make Oklahoma not a green state anymore.
Yeah, that's what they're doing. They should have stayed with the medical. I mean, our medical still is intact in Oregon, which is really good. And I believe it still is intact in Colorado. And I believe there's some other states that just passed recently on medical because of medical is a basis to start. It lets the state see how things are going to run.
Yeah.
And then they can actually establish some rec from that, just like Colorado did. I mean, Oregon actually perfected the rec a little bit better than Colorado did. In some ways.
Well, I would say our flour is a lot more affordable, which I appreciate.
Oh, yeah. Just down the road here in Merlin, I seen $10 an ounce.
Yep. You can definitely get $10 ounces at the dispensary. I don't know if those are the ounces that you want, but if that's what you want to buy, you can go right ahead.
well, it's becoming tourist season here because that gateway's to the river, and everybody comes here during the summer for touring to the river. So it's going to be like a gateway for the out-of-towners to come in and get sucked into the crap.
Get zooted on $10 ounces down at the river, and everyone.
It'll be funny. Oh, it'll be hilarious.
I smoke some of those too. So let me tell you the local trick. Let me tell you the local trick, folks. If a new dispensary has just opened up this week and they've got an ounce special, that might be fire. Right. Their grand opening sale, they might have some fire cheap ounces. But after that, those ounces can be danger zones.
Yeah, I would think, that back in the 80s, the packed Mexican weed that we used to get on the black market would be better than what you could get for $10 an ounce.
Hey, you know what, though? That stuff was brown. This stuff is green. Bob.
Well, that's true.
The Mexican dirt is why I thought I didn't like weed. I've told this story several times on the podcast, but I tried weed twice in high school, and it was brown, and it gave me a headache and made me hungry. And if I was high, it was just that, like, the whites were slightly brighter. It wasn't like a really stoned. It wasn't like, and so I was like, this is what people are like failing drug tests for, and like, no way, they're not worth it. And then so I just, but shit, still Nathan. From Afghanistan, and I had my first real Zaza. It was in Texas. They called it BC Bud.
It's funny. I when you speak about first time, I was like, the first time I smoked was at Mexican Brown. It wasn't really exciting, and then all of a sudden, because where I lived was in Northern California, this little town called Susanville. Maybe not very many people there, whatever. But I met this guy that worked on our golf course that we were running, and he gave me some hash.
Oh, okay.
And this was the real true hash. I didn't know what hash was. I was a kid. But that's when I went, uh-oh, I like this stuff. And then from there, for some reason, I stumbled into other stuff. I started stumbling into better stuff like Hawaiian, Acapulco Gold. It was actually the Acapulco Gold from Mexico, the good stuff. And then I got some Maui Wowie was the first green bud I ever had, and I was probably 13, maybe 14 years old. So
okay.
That's putting us back in age or 2 or 3 or 4. And it was like I was tuned in. And then I moved here, went out on recess break here at the high school or whatever, smoke break. It was like they had a smoking section out back. And somebody lit up some bud, and I went, what the hell is that? And they go, this is Oregon bud. And I said, can I have a hit of that? I've been hooked ever since.
Yeah.
Oregon bud.
You moved to Oregon, and if you're a weed person, something happens, I think. You move here, and at least for me, when I moved here, everyone in the scene was so generous. Especially, when you're a new smoker, you're not smoking that much weed. Like you said, one hit, and that was good for a while. And so everyone's very generous with the eighth that you smoke a month, and they take you in and they show you the ropes. And a lot of times, if you're really interested in growing, someone will show you how to grow, at least the basics, and then let's send you off on your way with a grow Bible or like a podcast. And there's so many resources now on how to grow that you don't even need anyone to kind of take you in and take you by the hand. You could decide one day in a vacuum, I'm going to start learning to grow weed, and you could listen to this podcast and another one and watch some YouTube videos, and you're 90% of the way there.
Yeah. All I can say to that is all that information can overload too. So remember this, always keep it simple. Your first time out, you can go from there.
Yeah. I would agree with that too. Yeah, find a grow style that's simple and doesn't have like a super lot of moving parts for your first time.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can even mess up a little bit your first time, but if you start messing up, there's a lot of people out there. Guess what? Just put the information out there. My plant's doing this. Someone's bound to respond and tell you how to fix it.
Oh yeah. I still have problems that I don't know the answer to. Recently, I've been using richer, like super soil, like organic stuff in my pots, and I'm not bleaching it out with synthetics now, so it holds water a little bit more than I'm used to, and it dries at a different rate and at a different way. And so I was chronically overwatering stuff, and that hasn't been a mistake I've been making in like 3 years. And so I'm like back to overwatering stuff. And then, which is a weird place to find yourself as like a 6 or 7 year grower. You're like, oh, now I overwater things again. What? So
I had this issue about 4 years ago. I overwatered and it really screwed up my growth. And I was like, and I knew it. But I was at the process. I was going out of town and I was like, I want to water these, make sure they're good. No, I blew it. They sucked up and they locked.
Yeah.
And when you get plants that lock, it's really hard to unlock them. And I've been growing for a few years. By the time I unlocked, it was bud season. Didn't get quite what I wanted. I only got like 1.5 pounds, 2 pounds of plant, which is okay, but it would have been a lot better if I didn't do that.
Yeah. You grow those in the ground monsters. I'm growing in pots in a neighborhood, so your yields are different levels than mine for sure. But yeah, I've been on this other podcast, Oregon Rooted, with this guy Higher Peaks, and he gave me an enzyme that you can treat the soil with called SLF 100.
Yes.
And I used that when I did finally water again, and it seemed to help with the lockout from the overwatering a lot quicker. So that was really neat.
Yeah, is it brown? Is it brown in color?
No. It's a big white jug. He gave me like a big white jug of it.
Oh, okay. I was just thinking some of them give you out samples.
Yeah. It's a big jug. I've never bought a nutrient bottle this big.
Well, that's good to have it though. In case of emergency, that's cool that he gave you an enzyme, because that's exactly what will break down your lockout. The enzyme will go in.
Well, and I think he saw that I was having problems before I did, and he just hooked it up, and it was really nice of him, and it works good. And if you overwater your stuff, let me know. We'll bring the jug over. We'll treat your plants. Because you don't use much. No. I'm only using. It works out. It's like milliliters. It works out to about a teaspoon a gallon of water. So this jug's gonna hopefully last me a couple years.
Well, I hope it does, because it might even last you longer than that.
I've had some, especially some synthetic nutrients that I've stored well, that have lasted my entire grow career. I've still got the second jug of Beastie Blooms I've ever bought. I don't know if I'm going to use it this year, but I've still got it. Uh-huh. They had a sale one time at the Grange where they were selling the big, like 120 ones for like $40, and I was like, boom, 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 those are mine. Oh, man, and then I just had them for years because I don't have a big garden that sucks up that much nutrient. And so it's been interesting. It's been kind of humbling going to the richer organic medium, but I'm learning now that when I amend, if I'm amending a lot, I need to add perlite to the top layer of soil in those pots. What's that? Go ahead.
Oh yeah. You need the perlite for sure.
Yeah.
Because you're in bags.
Yeah.
You need it.
And so that's been a thing I've been purchasing. There's other things that some other guys use, like rice hulls and stuff. I've had
coconut husk.
There's all kinds of stuff. I just been using the rice hulls. I've got a sweetheart deal at the garden store because I'm a vet. They give me more cash back than anybody else, and so anytime I buy something, I'm almost paying myself.
Well, good. That's the way it should be.
Oh, it's nice. It's nice, yeah. And and this time, even if I get mites or pests or whatever this year, I'm gonna put out beneficials next year. I'm not changing my soil out in my big pots. I don't think for the next 5 years. I'm gonna try to build soil into them.
Yeah, build up your soil definitely by the nutrients and things that you can, amendments, like you're saying, the enzyme, it's
worm
like
castings have been big for me.
Oh, well, see, I don't do worm castings. My big thing is, when I'm planting in, is to have the mycorrhizans in the hole.
Oh yeah, I do that too.
I mean, and I hate to say this, but it's a good brand. It's called Bigfoot. I've been using it since they produced it, because the mycorrhizans, the company here in town, started it.
Okay.
And then somebody took it a little bit. And
are you talking about mycorrhizal applications?
Yes.
Yeah.
and I love using that. I've seen a tremendous goodness from it.
Here's a weird thing that you're not going to hear on the podcast very often, talking about higher education. Did you ever take a biology class at RCC, the local?
Oh yeah.
Did you get to tour mycorrhizal applications as part of it?
No, I didn't.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, I was enrolled at a community college here on my GI Bill for a while, and they took us on a tour of mycorrhizal applications and showed us how they grow the mycorrhizal, how they manufacture it and all. It was really cool. What they do is they inoculate pea shoots in a clay and soil media, then take that clay with the pea roots in it with the mycorrhizal, grind that up, and that's what's in your bag.
Yeah.
Isn't that wild? It's so cool.
It's yeah. Well, once you find out what mycorrhiza is, you can actually make it yourself too in your own home. In your pile, your weed pile or whatever. Mainly, you can get it really well off of oak leaves. The only problem with the oak leaves is it's got to break down for a while, or else you get too much tannic acid in the soil.
Okay.
And they will, if you stack up oak leaves, let's say on the side of your house for 2 years, at the bottom of that will be a ton of mycorrhiza.
That white film you sometimes get.
That's it. And it's just beautiful stuff.
If you've got a thick layer of like oak, I have mulberry leaves in my yard.
Oh, there you go.
So in fall when this tree dumps all of its leaves, I sweep them into piles into my flower beds.
There you go.
So if you scrape off, and it's always composting. People ask me, "Do you fertilize these roses?" I'm like, "Yes, but not in the way you think." Mm-hmm. Like I stack yard waste, and the big one, and folks, this needs to break down. You can top dress stuff with this, but you have to be careful. I use chicken bedding. Uh-huh. So I'll take my chicken bedding, the straw impregnated with all the chicken shit and all that stuff, and I'll spread it in my beds once a year at different rates depending on what I think I need, and let that break down. And then in the fall, more leaves go on top of that. So my soil in my perennial beds is like steroids for certain kinds of plants.
I can imagine. Yeah, I can imagine.
My weeds are very strong too, I'll have you know, because I don't spray anything bad, so I pull them. It's rough.
That's how I understand.
Well, we all farm blackberries in Oregon, whether we want to or not.
It's the nemesis of all of us.
Oh, I've been digging out blackberry root balls out of my yard for I'll be doing it until the day I die, probably.
Oh, true that. We have birds.
Oh they plant them everywhere.
Yeah.
You have to do it in stages. You're never going to get rid of them all.
Oh, never. But back to the grow. I haven't started yet. I'm in a late, but I've been up to June 15th before, and I'm not worried about it because actually the peak of the grow season is July and August anyways.
Okay.
Yeah, I've always had good turnout. I mean,
well, you've got that one plant.
Oh yeah, well I'll probably end up with more.
Okay.
But I'm saying it's like I'm not worried about starting late. A lot of people get worried about it, and but I've seen people take 4-foot plants, put them out in the beginning of May, and then someone take clones right next to them that are 2 inches, and the clones end up outgrowing them by the middle of July.
Yep.
I mean, it's crazy. Weed does its own thing.
Well, and if you don't restrict it in any way, and you let those roots just go nuts, it can get really big. And so, I'm in pots, so I have a bigger I for example, right here this year, it's going to happen. We're going to watch it. Mm-hmm. You've got a cutting from a Jaeger bag seed that I grew out that I have in my yard. It's about let's say it's like 2 feet tall right now.
Right.
The mother plant. Well, your plant's probably about 18 inches tall, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
The mother plant's probably at about 3 feet tall. Just went in the ground. Now, it's going to get big, but at a certain point after you put your clone in the ground, it's going to surpass my plant in size.
Right.
Because my plant is restricted in a 20-gallon pot, and I don't want it that big.
No, but the cool thing, the 20-gallon, you're right, isn't very big. And your plant will probably get 3 or 4 feet tall at least, or if not more.
It'll get 6 feet tall.
Will it?
How
big around have you got them in those 20-gallon?
The biggest I've had in a 20-gallon, I couldn't get my arms around. It was 8 feet tall, but I didn't yield good because half of it got eaten by mites.
That's right.
That was the biggest plant I've grown in a 20-gallon was that Amnesia Haze. Now I did get a half pound off of it, but I was thinking I thought I was looking at 1.5 pounds.
You could have been easily.
Yeah, and so I know that I can grow now in the 30 gallons. Mm-hmm. I can grow a 2-pound monster in a 30-gallon if bugs don't eat it.
Right, a 20-gallon will be interesting because I know what kind of roots come off the Jaegers, so that'll be interesting to see.
Well, and it's in the yard, so if it busts out the bottom of that fabric pot, if it sends feeder roots, it'll just go into the ground.
Well, it might do that.
And that's fine.
But
I'm not watering it outside of the pot.
No,
so,
but I know that
Mike.
I know that they will ball up big, but they bush out wide. I mean, their stock, you can look at your stock. If your stock gets to be about an inch,
It's one of my biggest stalks already.
Oh, yes.
It's been in the ground 2 days.
Then you're gonna have a pretty good sized plant. I'm telling you right now.
And I'm curious because this is a bag seed that came out of a Jaeger cut that you had, and so I'm interested to see whether it's a self, and it's just Jaeger,
Right.
or if it's Jaeger and something on the breeze.
That's
You know what I
interesting.
mean? Because
You're right. You're right. There could be something there and it couldn't even be me. It could have been before it came to me, the clone.
right, yeah. So like pollen could have gotten on it.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
and so if it's selfed, then it could be almost like a feminized seed of Jaeger.
Right.
And I have sexed it. I've tested it. I've heat stressed those clones that I saw you, those diagnostic clones, up to 100 degrees.
Oh, then
So if it was going to herm,
it would have.
it would have hermed. Under a blurple light, 100 degrees in my garage, under a heat blanket, in a bird cage, no male flowers
Yeah.
that I can see. If she's hiding them, I don't know what you want from me. I can't see them. Like I'm not like spreading the flower apart, right?
Right.
So but we're good. So that's female.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to see what she tastes like and what kind of smell she throws up. We know we're in trouble if she starts throwing off weird stuff.
Right.
or maybe we're not in trouble. Maybe it'll be really fun.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, I know their other strains are really good too. So that's why I'm thinking if any of that other stuff, possibly their other strains with it'll be awesome.
Well, and I know that a lot of people cross breed with Jaeger for its I think one, its bulk. It bulks up.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very bulky Afghani, big flowered indica.
Well, actually, the strain I have really is more of a PHK.
Okay, Purple Hindu Kush.
Yeah, than the Jaeger. The Jaeger is, I mean, it seems like it, but the true Jaeger has a PHK and, oh man, Granddaddy Purple.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
That's where Jaeger came from, was those two bred together. And,
Okay.
And actually, the best Jaeger cut that they say in the valley is from
Millerville Farms.
Yeah, out in CJ. But this PHK that I get is what I think has happened with them is they've refined it so much that they probably got out the Granddaddy Purple because of the size and the way the bud and the taste. I mean, the taste is it's Jaeger.
Right.
Definitely. It's got
Yeah.
the Jaeger, but that's a PHK too. And the stronger it is, if you break it apart, you can tell by the inside of the bud, it goes down from green to purple to almost white in the middle. It's just such a beautiful looking inside. And it's just, you can tell the texture is different than the actual Jaeger doesn't have that quite breakdown the way it does.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, here. I'll say right here. Break off a chunk of that.
Okay, just a big
Yeah,
chunk.
yeah.
Okay. So I broke it up in half there.
It's fine.
Oh, interesting.
Now you see what I'm saying?
So this is Jaeger, this is Purple Hindu Kush.
No. That's Purple Indo Kush. All of this, but you get on the top of the bud, you get to see the difference. Now Jaeger on the other stand of it. That's why I'm saying they came closer to Purple Hindu Kush than the Jaeger. They don't really have the Jaeger.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Because they've cloned it so much that I believe they've pretty much taken the Granddaddy Purple out of it.
So you think there's like genetic drift if you clone stuff too much?
Yep, I do, because I know when I first seen Granddaddy Purple.
I've seen it in your garden years ago, right?
Yeah, and the
beautiful plant.
But the buds were huge.
Oh, they were almost problematically huge. I remember they looked unmanageable.
Yes, they were huge. I mean, they were gigantic. And Jaeger doesn't do huge, gigantic buds. Not Jaeger, but Purple Hindu Kush doesn't. It goes back to the indica. The indica has pretty good sized buds, but they're really dense. And because of what indica just, to me, is more dense of a bud.
Right.
It isn't bulbous. Like the newer buds are more like this bulbous looking all around the bud. It's got little shoots on it. And that seems to be the new ticket in growth for outdoor.
Like the foxtailing look?
Yes. And then, like a lot of the blueberry that's out there has that look to it.
Yeah, I grew some that looks like it. My partner, my wife, loves it. It's great for her time of the month.
Right. Yeah, the blueberry.
I'm sorry, it's a blackberry I grew, but it does the same thing at the end of its flower. Instead of just finishing like a big rounded bud, it foxtails before it finished, and it's not bad. It's good weed,
Right.
and a lot of these newer strains, I think people are breeding for resin production a lot because some of the trichomes, like I've got a jar. I almost feel bad just cleaning it. I feel like I should take like a heated knife and like scrape the side of the damn jar.
Right. Well,
Which has not always been the case.
well, you got to look too. A lot of people are into pressing and
Yeah.
doing the pressing out of it for the rosin, and they're going for the oil now. So if your production, if you got more trichomes, you got more oil.
Right,
So
yeah.
everybody's been trying to amp that up so they can get the most out of their bang for their money.
Right. But some of those strains, I think they make great concentrates, but I don't know if the flower smoking experience is necessarily the same.
No, it isn't. It tastes different, and it's a different. You're not tasting as much flower, the green, let's say
Right,
the chlorophyll of the plant. You're not tasting the plant, and a lot of people I know are smoking carts now.
Yeah.
Instead of smoking, and the reason I asked him, why not smoke just weed? You know what they say?
Why?
Because the carts, I can only be high for an hour or so. And then I don't have to worry about it. But if I smoke weed, I'm like stoned for 6 hours. And
Bro,
I'm
that's
like-
the point. It's medicine.
And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, why would you want to smoke a cart for an hour when you could smoke a hit and have that same hour or two or three?
I don't prefer carts. I will
Either do
happily hit a cart if that's all that's available. But I prefer flower. It's
I couldn't find any flour when I was in Italy last year.
that's annoying.
But they do sell CBD.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I did buy some CBD.
Yeah, did you roll it in papers or what did you do?
Oh, no. We got a pipe, too.
Oh,
They
nice.
sell
Okay, cool.
pipe, so we were able to smoke it right there. But it tasted good just to taste.
Yeah.
And different because it's in a different country.
Right.
But what really got me was I was talking to the guy, and he's like, yeah, I know where the real stuff is, but I can't really tell you and direct you. I mean, it was kind of cool. He wanted to give it to me, but he said, I can't do that. He said, everything here as you see is on camera, and he said, the government here, we can't tell you if my buddy down the road's got the real stuff.
Right. They can't be serving
Yeah.
tourists. They'll get into trouble.
Yeah, so I was like, darn. But I know the last time I was there, I was on a train, and somebody spiffed. I could tell instantly.
Right.
It was like, whoa. I leaned over the seat and said, that's some good stuff. And that young kid looked at me and said, yeah, they said whatever he said in Italy. And then he tapped his buddy, and they went out and they smoked it. They came back in, and lady across from me, this is when California just went wreck.
Yeah.
She was like, that damn weed. She was all. I was like, man, I would have walked right out with that kid. I'm telling
Oh
you.
my Lord! Yeah,
And
you don't
she's-
want to be like the weird old guy. Like, hey kids, let's go smoke some reefer.
Exactly. You can't do that. You can't do that.
You got and on it, yeah. But that is something an interesting point you bring up when you travel, and you haven't been to a place before, even if they have the same strain names or whatever. Like, I smoked some weed in Colorado that was so much different.
Oh yeah.
Same shit. Same like a grape, a gorilla grape cross.
Right.
You know that nice grape indica.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought, I was just gonna be like a little manageable high, and I smoked a little more of it because I thought I'd need more of it because I was just in the parking lot in Wyoming, way too, like in an illegal state, like way too stoned, reeking to high heaven, just like staring at the street lamp, like I love weed, and I was like, okay, so that Rocky Mountain High, it's different, okay,
Well, there's two folds there for you too that happen. Elevation, number one.
right,
And number two, yeah, anything hits you different at elevation. I mean, when I was in Colorado, we went up to Breckenridge, which is like
I've been
11,000
there.
Yeah, and so we had to burn some. I said, this weed's going to get us high. She's like, yeah. Oh, yeah, it ripped us bad. I mean, it did. It was fun, though. It was fun.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Be careful when you're passing through Colorado if you're trying to like get high and like travel.
Yeah, if you have never smoked pot at a high elevation, be very careful.
Yeah.
I mean, we could put that as a warning label. I mean, if you have never done it, it will definitely do you in.
Yeah. And I'm from a really low lying area. I'm from Houston, Texas. I think our elevation was like the tallest part of town was like 200 feet above sea level.
Jeez.
So like when I tell people like I'm from like a swampy area where the like central Texas like big thicket meets like what you think of as the Louisiana swamp.
Right.
And so I'm from a low elevation. So when I used to go to Colorado with my grandfather camping and we'd go do stuff like we normally do, I would sleep for like 16 hours afterward because I couldn't even move. I'd be so like gassed out and I get altitude sickness every time.
Yeah. Yeah, I went fishing with some friends here and I forgot about altitude. Went to June Lake up by Mammoth and we were at like 8,500 feet. First day we were all like, yeah, we went to the bar and the bartender was really cool. He's like, here's a shot and here's 2 aspirin. Take 2 of these a day.
Yep.
So we did feel better, but lucky for me, I brought Oregon weed.
Nice.
So I got through that, but I could barely walk up a hill.
Oh my Lord. Yeah. Like that was the thing. I would go to Colorado from Texas and if I would meet local people or people from nearby, they'd make fun of me for being out of shape. And I'd feel so bad because I wasn't out of shape.
Right.
But you get, if there's 30% less oxygen and you're not acclimated to that, you're just gasomatic.
You're killing yourself. Trust me. I know my wife, we were hiking and she goes, I think I'm going to pass out. I said, why don't we just stop for a moment?
Have a seat.
Have a seat. And she goes, I never felt this way. I said, yeah, altitude.
Yeah, and if you're from a low-lying area, every 1,000 feet you add can twist the knife in. It does not take much.
Oh,
like
no.
if you're like, I think, where are we sitting now? We're not sitting that high. We're sitting like in between like 1,500 and 2,000 feet.
I'm right here at my house. I think I'm like 13.
Yeah, it's not super high, but like if we were to go up into the surrounding hills more than 1,000 feet of elevation, we would feel it.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm just like I used to shuttle over the mountain here.
Right.
And that goes up to 5,000 feet.
Yeah.
So if you go up there and smoke a ball, I guarantee you're gonna feel a little bit different than you do down here.
Be careful driving down the hill.
No kidding.
So, you're growing that Jaeger cut. Are you trying to that purple Hindu Kush cut? Are you trying to get more of that? Or are you trying to grow anything different this year? Or just kind of
I'm gonna see what they're gonna offer if they're gonna offer. And I mean, I like all their stuff. All their stuff is really good, and they have some strawberry that's really delicious.
Okay.
And if I could get one of those, that'd be nice too.
Is it like a strawberry cough or a haze or?
No, it's just strawberry.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's just beautiful.
Okay.
When you look at it, yeah. And then they have a Georgia peach, that's really good too.
Are you gonna try to pop any of those autos I gave you?
I should.
You don't need a big pot. You don't need a big pot for those. They'll only go like 3 months tops.
Really?
Yeah, I think if you planned one of those autos now, it's only for fun. I don't think you're going to yield like crazy. I never do. But if you just wanted to throw it on your like back porch,
yeah,
in like a 3 or a 5 gallon, and just water it.
I've got a couple barrels cut.
Perfect.
So I might, that's a little bit. Well, it'd be a 25-gallon pot.
Yeah, put 2 of them in there.
Yeah.
For folks that don't know, I got some freebies last time I ordered autoflower seeds, and I hooked up Rollin' Smokes here with a 3-pack, I think, of little freebie seeds, and I've just because I've seen you grow like little like. I don't know what you call them, like almost throwaway plants. Like you'd have your main ones, and if you didn't make plant count or something, you'd have like something sitting over in the middle of the yard with like enough like a 5-gallon, just like chilling.
Backups.
Yeah,
they're called backups, just in case. But those backups can actually turn into some tasty little weed too.
Oh, yeah. I've seen people. My buddy, he wanted to try growing weed, and he's like, just give me one of your seedlings. I'm like, okay. He put it in a 10-gallon nursery pot.
Right.
Let his dogs like fuck with it. Didn't watered it. That's it. Never. It went in ocean forest, and I don't think he fertilized it once.
Right.
Quarter pound.
Oh yeah.
It tasted like dog because his dog fucked with it, but like it was weed. Like if your barrier is low, like smokable medicine, is that your only thing? You can be so lazy. Your neighbors might not like you.
No.
Because you're gonna be a barrel full of pests and everything. Mm-hmm. But if your barrier to entry is like I just want to smoke, I just want that $10 ounce, but I want it at home.
Right.
You can put it in a pot, water it, let it get all root bound and fucked up, and let it flower at the end of the year, and it'll still produce something.
Oh yeah.
Unless you get mites. and then it won't produce anything. Then it'll just get eaten.
Mites are not nice.
No, they're mean. They're mean. Yeah, I got the host of Oregon Rooted was telling me, Higher Peaks, he was telling me he thinks mites are going to be really bad this year.
Well, I don't know. I think the hotter years are worse for mites than this year. I don't think it's going to be as hot as it's been for a while. I think it'll be like last year. And last year was an ideal year for growing. I think it'll be the same this year.
Last year we had rain in June. There was like a 3-week period where I don't think I had to water one time.
Yeah, I think it's going to be similar to that. I mean, all the moisture. Look, we had record levels of snow this year everywhere.
Yes, we did.
So it's just put a different atmosphere out there. I think the mites like the heat more than the moisture.
Okay.
But they like the humidity too. So if our humidity could stay down, we'll be in a lot better shape.
I'm going to be defoliating in my garden a little more aggressively to try to keep out humidity pockets.
Yeah.
I think that was a part of my problem last year, is that I had a bunch of little weird dead zones in my canopy.
You know, it's really funny. If you look at most of the rec gardens, really good rec gardens that are really good, and then you go look at a peach farm.
Yeah.
You'll look at the plants. They're almost planted exactly the same for airflow to go through.
Right.
And people don't realize there's a reason why they plant plants in those patterns is because of the wind flow.
Right.
And it keeps the pests out. It allows movement of air, and it doesn't allow any moisture to gather. It's pretty, I mean, we've been doing it for years. Humans been doing it for years. We just perfected it even more so.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited for this season too. I'm really optimistic about this season, and I'm kind of really optimistic just about this year in general as comparison to the last few years. I think it's going to be like a really interesting like year for like gardening and like the laws around cannabis. There's going to be a lot more movement nationally. I saw my buddy sent me an email. I haven't like read the article yet, but there's like a Veterans Protection Act or something moving through Congress where they're trying to protect veterans' rights around cannabis.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think it's going to pass, but that's cool that they're trying.
Well, Oregon's got it.
Yeah, they do. And there's some interesting things. Oregon recently passed job protections, right?
Right.
So, and obviously it doesn't apply to federal licenses. What are you going to do?
Right.
But in Oregon, if it's an Oregon thing, generally they're not drug testing as part of employment. I think the cops still do, maybe, or do they? Did they stop?
What?
The cops, I can't remember.
I think it's any federal funded.
Right, because they get federal funding because they do their stuff, their drug stuff.
Yeah. So I think anything that's federally funded, you can't. But, I mean, other than that, I think it's... Come on. I think there's probably people in those federally funded that are doing it.
Oh, for sure. When I still had my federal job, I was smoking reefer. Statute of limitations, bitches. No body, no crime. 5 years and I'm free and clear.
Yeah, just give me a few years. It's toke time.
Yep.
Yes.
What are you're smoking on that bust down Patek I brought over, aren't you?
No, I smoked all of it.
Oh, okay.
I'm smoking more.
I've been digging into your jar over here. This is good stuff.
Oh, it tastes tasty.
Did you get a new bong?
Yeah, I broke my bong.
Oh my God, you've had that bong for like 12 years.
Yeah, it was called a dragon lung. It was given to me by a really good friend of mine, Yusuf. I'm going to say his name because Yusuf is still medicinal roots.
Okay.
I'm going to give him a pump because he's a good guy, does good things.
Cool.
And it really upset me because of that. He had Dragon's Lair, one of the better head shops that we had in town for a long time until he shut it down. And he had some extremely talented glass pieces in there. I'm talking like bongs for like $3,000.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah, I mean like
boutique.
Yeah, very boutique. He had bongs that were like scorpion, looks like scorpions. I mean, they were just amazing looking. That I'm just saying one I can remember, but yes, very boutique, and no longer. And he had these bongs made special, and I broke mine.
God, because I feel like you've had that. Like the first time I was over here and asked for a bong, like, has it been 10 years?
Yeah, at least 10 years.
So you had that at that point. You've already had it for a while.
I've had it for almost 12 years. I had it. Now that you're making me look back.
Sorry, I don't mean to mourn the fallen, but like you get older and you stop breaking bongs so frequently. And then you get to a point where like I break a down stem every now and then or a bowl, but I haven't knock on wood, right? You get to where you get these year-long streaks, and it almost, let me tell you kids, it hurts worse when you've had it for like 7, 8, 10 like years. Like it hurts.
This one, it isn't the same.
No, if you find one that hits just right for you, none of them hit the same. Like I associate this little piece that with smoking weed at your house now, the way it hits and stuff.
Yeah.
Like I associate this with your house.
Yeah, it's a good little bong. Yeah, it's quite funny. You know, my cat was doing something. I slammed my hand on my table. And my bong jumped up and broke.
Oh, it like hop skipped. Oh man.
Yeah, and I had done that 100 times before, but this time was the time that it wasn't supposed to make it. So I was like, oh well. Something new, change, but I don't like change.
Oh, no, this too shall pass, right?
Yeah.
So are you just going to go for 4 plants this year, or what are you doing?
Yeah, I don't know. You know, I got 2 weeks to play, is what I always say. 2 weeks to play before I have to really worry.
Right.
And I know at least 4, if not 6, because I'm thinking about getting my medical again so I can surf around. Because I didn't realize as long as you have your medical card, people, listen up. Arizona honors our medical card.
I think Maine does too.
Maine does. Massachusetts does. Montana does.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Montana recognizes it. If you have a medical card on you and you're in Montana, you can have our legal amount on you while you're in Montana.
That's why all our hippie friends go camping in Montana. It's not a big deal.
Correct.
I had no idea. I was like, what are y'all doing? You fucking smoke weed, don't go there.
You got to make it through Idaho and Wyoming to get there, you know. But
Idaho.
But you just don't stop.
Oh, Idaho. Even before I smoked weed, Idaho was like hostile to my very existence.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Have you, like, every time I am in Idaho, something happens where the universe is like, you don't belong here, boy. I took a nap in a rest stop. Traveling home from Fort Lewis to drop my car off before I deployed because I didn't want to leave it in a lot on Fort Lewis sitting for a year. I wanted my little brother, someone to drive it every now and then, keep it good.
Right.
So I drive my car through Idaho. Granted, I haven't been back since. Maybe one more time, and I had a horrible time. But I'm driving through. I stop at this rest stop. I'm tired, taking a nap. I fall asleep. 15 minutes later, flashlight on the window, state cop. Move along. The sign says I can sleep here for 6 hours. I'm just catching a nap. I'm going home. Like, I gave him the army spiel. Dude did not give a foot. Move along. I'm like, fuck, bro. And I'm in a rest stop in the middle of fuck nowhere.
Oh, that isn't cool.
It was not cool. So I boogied on down the road, and I'm like, I'm glad that dude's not following me. Shit.
Yeah.
And I thought, I don't think Idaho likes me.
Yeah, I can't blame you there. We might not be talking if he was following you.
When I was a young man, driving across country, when I'd be on long leaves, weird shit would happen on the road. There's a couple of stretches of road where it's really like sharky, squatchy, shady, bad vibes, whatever you want to say. There's a couple stretches on this road where if you're like a young defenseless woman or even a young man traveling by yourself, listen, you stop, you piss, you get in the car, you leave. You don't stop. They're beautiful stretches of road. Gorgeous. Some of the most beautiful stretches in the country. But please, mind your P's and Q's on 80 going through Wyoming.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, they will fuck you to death and leave you in a ditch and no one will ever find you. There's so much nothing on that road.
There's zero.
80 through Wyoming is, as far as I'm concerned, serial killer central. Like,
so it's called Serial Killer Alley.
And then just Kansas. Kansas is creepy at night, too.
Yeah. Yeah, I've always thought Kansas was a little creepy.
And
anyways.
in between Dallas and Huntsville, Texas. Don't stop there either.
Dallas and Huntsville. Yeah.
Like that rural area on the 45.
Oh, going out, yes.
It's kind of sketchy too. But I haven't been all over the South.
No.
I've driven through Atlanta and going out to North Carolina. But yeah. Yeah, so we're coming up on about 50 minutes, and I think we're gonna get out of here. Is there anything you'd like to say to the audience before we get out here, Rolling Smokes?
Enjoy the grow season, people. It's going to be a good one.
All right, that's it for the Bagseed Chronicles. Let's overgrow the world. And we stop. If y'all enjoyed this episode of the Bagseed Chronicles, why don't you share it around? You know, these radio shows can't make any money if no one listens to them, you know? Not that I'm trying to make money.
It's Tom Wisdom. S&T Records, let's get it. Zecca on the beat. I'm riding, all the homies with me. Yeah, we been getting hella faded. Just like our eyes, we be staying low-key. Vibing out, always staying medicated. I'm riding, all the homies with me. Yeah, we been getting hella faded. Just like our eyes, we be staying low-key. Vibing out, always staying medicated. I'm gonna get lit, take another fat rip off this bomb shit. Can't get enough of it, yes. Hitting the best, feeling pretty